The Great Council Hall was bigger than most human cities. Thousands of seats filled the circular chamber, each one holding a different alien species. The air buzzed with strange sounds, clicks, hums, and whistles that served as languages for beings humans had only met 50 years ago. Kyung-ho sat alone at the human table. His black suit looked simple compared to the colorful robes and shining armor around him. At 62 years old, he had served as Earth's ambassador for 20 years. He had seen humanity grow from a small planet to a space-traveling civilization. But today might be the day it all ended. The Altanian Empire's speaker stood up. His name was Veltar, and he was 12 feet tall with blue skin that sparkled like stars. His voice boomed across the hall without any machine to make it louder. "Today we end this problem," Veltar said. "For 3 years, the human species has refused to accept their place in our galaxy. They have taken planets that belong to older, wiser races. They have built weapons without asking permission. They have acted like they are equal to species that ruled space before their son was born." Kyung-ho did not move. He had heard these same words many times before. The aliens thought humans were too young, too aggressive, too different. They wanted humanity to be quiet and do what they were told. "The Council has been patient," Veltar continued. "We offered them partnership. We offered them protection. We offered them knowledge. But humans are too proud to accept help. They think they can do everything alone." A creature that looked like a giant bug clicked its mouthparts. This was Queen Zix of the Hive Worlds. "My people have watched space for 10,000 years, she said in a voice like grinding metal. "Humans appeared yesterday. They should learn from those who came before." More voices joined in. The crystal beings of Zephyr Prime rang like bells as they spoke. The gas cloud creatures of the Nebula Federation whispered in sounds like wind. The water dwellers from Aquarius gurgled their agreement. Every species in the galaxy seemed to agree on one thing: humans needed to be controlled. Kyung-ho remembered when humans first met aliens. It was exciting. Humanity was not alone in the universe. There were friends to be made, knowledge to be shared, wonders to discover. But the excitement died quickly. The aliens had rules. So many rules. Humans could only settle certain planets. They could only build certain types of ships. They could only trade certain goods. Every human action needed alien approval. When humans asked why, the answer was always the same: because older species knew better. But humans had grown fast in space. Too fast for the aliens' comfort. Human ships were different from alien designs. Not better, but different. Human colonies thrived on worlds other species had given up on. Human traders found new routes through dangerous space. Human explorers kept pushing into unknown regions. The aliens called it dangerous. They said humans would cause problems. They demanded humans slow down, ask permission, follow the old ways. When humans refused, the punishments began. First came trade restrictions. Alien ports closed to human ships. Then came travel bans. Humans could not visit certain systems. Finally came the embargo. No alien would buy human goods or sell anything to humans. The aliens thought this would force humanity to surrender. They were wrong. Veltar raised his forearms for silence. The hall became quiet except for the hum of life support systems keeping air breathable for 47 different species. "The time for patience has ended," he declared. "Today we give humanity one final choice: accept our terms or face the consequences." A hologram appeared in the center of the hall. It showed the list of demands that would change everything for humanity. Kyung-ho read each line carefully, though he had memorized them long ago. Humans would give up all claims to the outer spiral territories. These were the rich worlds humanity had found and settled over 20 years. Worlds full of rare metals, perfect farming conditions, and strategic positions for space travel. The aliens wanted them all. Humans would reduce their military by 70%. All remaining ships would be inspected by alien authorities. No new weapons could be built without permission. Human space would be patrolled by alien forces for galactic security. Humans would pay reparations for their illegal expansion. The amount was huge, enough to bankrupt every human world. The money would go to alien governments as payment for the damage humanity had caused by growing too fast. Most insulting of all, humans would accept permanent junior status in the galaxy. They would have no vote in the council. Their opinions would not matter in galactic decisions. They would exist only with alien permission. The hall filled with approving sounds. Clicks, whistles, hums, and roars of agreement. The aliens were certain humanity would accept. What choice did they have? Humans were outnumbered. Outgunned and cut off from galactic trade, they had to surrender. Veltar's glowing eyes fixed on Kyung-ho. "Ambassador, your species has heard our terms. What is humanity's response?" Kyung-ho stood slowly. Every eye, sensor, and perception organ in the hall focused on him. The weight of his species' future rested on his next words. He thought about Earth, about the colonies, about all the humans who had built new lives among the stars. He thought about his daughter Sujin, who ran a mining operation on Kepler 442b. She had turned a dead rock into a thriving world with 15 million people. Would she have to abandon everything her generation had built? He thought about Captain Minho, whose patrol fleet kept the trade routes safe from pirates. The aliens used those same routes but never thanked the humans who died protecting them. Would Minho's sacrifice mean nothing? He thought about Dr. Haiwan, whose research stations had found cures for alien diseases. Her work had saved billions of lives on dozens of worlds. Would the galaxy forget her gift to them? The silence stretched on. Some aliens shifted nervously. A few whispered to their neighbors. The tension in the air grew thick. Finally, Kyung-ho spoke. His voice was calm, quiet, and clear. Humanity rejects these terms. The hall exploded in shocked sounds. Screeches, roars, clicking, and hissing filled the air. Some aliens stood up, waving arms or tentacles in anger. Others sat frozen in disbelief. Veltar's blue face turned darker. "You reject the generous offer of the Council? You choose war over peace?" "We choose dignity over slavery," Kyung-ho replied. He began packing his papers into his briefcase. "Humanity will not accept second-class status in the galaxy we helped build." "You are making a terrible mistake," Queen Zix hissed. "Your species is small and weak. You cannot survive alone." Kyung-ho closed his briefcase and looked around the hall one last time. These aliens had once seemed like friends, like teachers, like partners in building a better galaxy. Now he saw them as they really were, bullies who feared change. "Perhaps," he said, "but we will survive as free beings, not as your pets." He walked toward the exit. His footsteps echoed in the sudden silence. No alien moved to stop him. They were too shocked by what had just happened. At the great doors of the council hall, Kyung-ho turned back one final time. His voice carried clearly across the vast chamber. "When humanity first reached for the stars, we dreamed of finding friends among them. Instead, we found masters who demanded we kneel. Today, we choose to stand." The doors closed behind him with a sound like thunder. In the hall, 47 species sat in stunned silence, trying to understand what they had just witnessed. They had expected surrender. They had received defiance. They had no idea what storm they had just unleashed upon the galaxy. 6 months passed after Kyung-ho walked out of the council hall. The galaxy expected anger from humanity. They expected protests, threats, or desperate attempts to make new deals. Instead, they got something much more disturbing: complete silence. Hei-1 sat in her office on Earth's orbital station, looking at reports from across human space. As the head of the Terran Colonial Authority, she controlled trade and communication between all human worlds. The decision to cut contact with aliens had not been easy, but it was necessary. "Ma'am, the Altanian trade fleet is requesting permission to dock at Kepler Station again," her assistant reported. "Same answer as always," Hei-1 replied without looking up. "No alien vessels are permitted in human space during our period of internal development." It was the same answer she had given 100 times. The aliens kept coming, kept asking, kept demanding to know why humans had gone quiet. They acted like they deserved explanations after spending 3 years trying to destroy human civilization. The first sign that something was wrong came from the Crystalline Confederacy. Their mining operations had ground to a halt. The reason was simple. They used human-designed extraction machines. When the machines broke down, there were no human technicians to fix them. No human-made replacement parts. No access to the technical knowledge needed to keep the equipment running. Commander Krektor of the Altanian fleet stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at a dead human trading post. The station was intact but empty. All the humans had left, taking their technology with them. The automated message played on repeat in perfect Altanian language. "This facility has been decommissioned due to changing business requirements. We thank our former partners for their understanding and wish them success in their future endeavors." Station Administrator Jong-soo. "Sir, this is the 15th abandoned human facility we've found," his second-in-command reported. "They've all been stripped clean. No equipment, no supplies, no information left behind." Krektor's 6 eyes narrowed. The Altanians had been the strongest supporters of putting humans in their place. Now they were discovering what that place actually was. Everywhere the aliens needed them to be. On the water world of Aquarius Prime, Governor Thelvar faced a growing crisis. The underwater cities that housed 6 billion Aquarians were losing power. The fusion reactors that kept them alive were human-designed, human-built, and human-maintained. Without human technicians, the reactors were failing one by one. "How long do we have?" Thelvar asked his chief engineer. 6 months, maybe less," came the reply. "We've been trying to reverse engineer the human fusion technology for 20 years. It's unlike anything we've seen. Every time we think we understand it, we discover another layer of complexity." The Aquarians had always considered themselves the galaxy's greatest engineers. Their cities beneath the crushing depths of their world were marvels of technology. But they had grown dependent on human power systems without realizing it. Similar problems were appearing everywhere. The Zephyrian crystal ships could not navigate properly without human-designed computer systems. The ethereal meditation chambers required human atmospheric processors to maintain the perfect environment. Even the mighty Hive Queen's reproduction cycles depended on human medical technology to prevent genetic drift, but the biggest problem was pirates. Captain Yulri of the Human Patrol. Vessel Morningstar had been protecting the Vega trade route for 12 years. Her ship was small compared to alien battleships, but it was fast, smart, and unpredictable. Pirates feared human tactics more than they feared alien firepower. When the humans pulled back, the pirates moved in. "This is unacceptable," roared Admiral Zektar of the Altanian Defense Force. His own fleet was 10 times larger than the human patrol group that used to cover the same area. But in 6 months, pirate attacks had increased by 400%. The problem was simple. Alien military thinking was predictable. They used formations, followed doctrine, and fought by rules written thousands of years ago. Pirates knew how to avoid alien patrols, how to hide from alien sensors, and how to escape alien pursuit. Human tactics were different, chaotic, unpredictable. A single human patrol ship might appear anywhere at any time, using strategies that made no sense to ordered alien minds. Pirates could not predict where humans would be or what they would do next. "Send 3 battle groups to patrol the Vega route," Zektar ordered. "Sir, that's our entire reserve fleet," his aide protested. "Do it anyway." But it did not work. The pirates simply moved to other routes. There were hundreds of trade paths through space, and the aliens did not have enough ships to guard them all. Only the humans had been able to keep the peace with their small but effective patrol fleets. On Earth, President So-Young held a secure meeting with her military commanders. The reports from across human space were encouraging. The isolation strategy was working better than anyone had hoped. "What's our status, General?" she asked. General Tai Hyun smiled as he presented his data. "Our industrial output has increased by 60% since we stopped trading with aliens. Our research programs have advanced faster in 6 months than in the previous 5 years. And morale among the colonies is at an all-time high." The reason was simple. For decades, humans had been forced to follow alien technological standards. Human innovation was suppressed because it did not fit alien expectations. Human colonies could not expand because aliens controlled the permits. Human researchers could not explore certain fields because aliens declared them dangerous. Without those restrictions, human civilization was exploding with new possibilities. "The Kepler colonies report successful tests of the new quantum drive systems," the general continued. "The Tau Ceti shipyards have finished the first vessels of our new defense fleet, and Dr. Sungmin's team has made breakthroughs in energy technology that we never thought possible." President So-Young nodded. "Any word from the aliens?" "They keep sending diplomatic requests. The Altanians have offered to revise their terms. The Crystal Confederacy wants to renegotiate our relationship. The Aquarians are practically begging for technical support." Our response? The same as always. "We are focusing on internal development and wish them well." It was a polite way of saying that humanity was done being the galaxy's unpaid servants. For too long, humans had provided essential services without recognition. They kept the peace, shared their technology, and helped solve alien problems. In return, they were told to be grateful for the privilege of serving their betters. Captain Min-Soo commanded the orbital defense platform at the edge of human space. His job was to politely but firmly turn away alien visitors Every day brought new delegations, trade missions, and diplomatic envoys. All of them wanted to know why humans had cut contact. None of them seemed to understand that they already knew the answer. "Sir, incoming vessel identifies as a Zephyrian diplomatic courier," his communications officer reported. "Standard response," Minsu ordered. The message went out automatically. "Attention, alien vessel. Human space is currently closed to outside traffic due to internal development programs. Please alter course to avoid territorial violations. Have a pleasant journey." "Sir, they're requesting permission to transmit a message from their government. Tell them we'll accept written communications through the automated message buoy at the border. No direct contact, this was the new reality. Humans would be polite but distant, professional but uninvolved. They would not be rude to their former oppressors, but they would not help them either. The psychological effect on the aliens was devastating. They had spent years treating humans like unruly children who needed guidance. Now the children had left home and the parents were discovering how much they had depended on them. On Altania Prime, Veltar stared at economic reports that made no sense. Industrial production was falling. Trade revenues were declining. Military effectiveness was decreasing. All because humans had simply stopped participating in galactic civilization. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "They are one small species among 47. How can their absence cause such problems?" His economic advisor, a creature with too many tentacles and not enough answers, writhed nervously. "Sir, we are discovering that human involvement in our economy was more extensive than we realized. They provided essential services we took for granted, such as transportation, manufacturing, security, technical support, agricultural assistance, medical research, environmental management." The list went on and on. Veltar had thought humans were parasites feeding off the galaxy's advanced civilizations. Instead, they had been the backbone holding everything together. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson about consequences. They had demanded humanity accept a subordinate role or leave. Humanity had chosen to leave. Now the aliens were discovering what life was like without the species they had tried to crush, and they did not like it at all. 2 years had passed since humanity went silent. What began as small problems for the alien civilizations had grown into serious cracks in their society. Boram sat in a hidden monitoring station deep in asteroid field, watching the galaxy tear itself apart. As Earth's intelligence coordinator, she had access to every alien communication channel. The reports coming through her screens painted a picture of growing chaos. The aliens were starting to blame each other for problems that used to be solved by humans. The first major incident happened in the Kepler system. A Zephyrian crystal fleet had tried to take over an abandoned human mining station. The crystalline beings thought they could simply occupy the facility and restart operations. They found empty buildings and stripped equipment. Captain Dongjun had been the station's chief engineer. Before leaving, he had made sure to remove every piece of useful technology. The message he left behind was broadcast from the empty station on a loop. "This facility has been decommissioned according to standard human protocols. All equipment has been redistributed to active human operations. We thank the galactic community for their understanding and wish them success in their future endeavors." The Zephyrians were furious. They had expected to find advanced mining equipment worth billions of credits. Instead, they found empty rooms and a polite goodbye message. The crystalline beings filed an official complaint with the Galactic Council, claiming humans had deliberately sabotaged the facility. The complaint was meaningless. Humans had simply taken their own property when they left. But the aliens were learning that they had counted on human infrastructure more than they realized. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Every human facility was found empty. Every piece of human technology was gone. It was as if an entire civilization had vanished overnight, taking all their knowledge with them. The Altanian Empire decided to make the first serious attempt at bringing humanity back. They sent their best diplomat, a creature named Zarketh, to the edge of human space. His mission was to offer revised terms for humanity's return to galactic society. Captain Jiho of the human defense vessel Indomitable met the alien delegation at the border. His ship was small compared to the Altanian flagship, but it carried itself with quiet confidence. "Greetings, Captain," Zarketh transmitted. "I come bearing an offer from the Altanian Empire. We wish to discuss new arrangements for human participation in galactic affairs. Jiho's response was polite but cold. Thank you for your interest, Ambassador. However, the Galactic Council's position was made clear 3 years ago. Humanity was to accept subordinate status within alien civilization. We declined this arrangement. But surely we can find a compromise, Zarketh pressed. The galaxy values human contributions. Perhaps we were too hasty in our previous demands. The galaxy made it clear that humanity was not welcome as equals, Jiho replied. We accepted this judgment and acted accordingly. We withdrew from galactic affairs as requested. What would it take for humanity to reconsider? The question hung in space for a long moment. Jiho's answer sent chills through every alien listening to the transmission. Nothing. The galaxy chose to exist without humanity. We have chosen to exist without the galaxy. This arrangement appears to be working well for all parties involved. Captain, surely you understand that isolation benefits no one. The galaxy is stronger when all species work together. Indeed, that was humanity's belief as well. Unfortunately, the galaxy disagreed. This conversation is over. The transmission cut off, leaving the Altanian delegation staring at empty space. Zarketh had been certain that humans would jump at the chance to return to galactic society. Instead, he found a species that seemed completely uninterested in reconciliation. On Earth, President So Young was addressing the colonial governors through quantum communication. The hidden truth was that humanity's isolation had been the best thing to happen to their civilization in decades. Fellow citizens, she began, we have spent 2 years proving that humanity does not need alien oversight to thrive. Our colonies are more prosperous than ever. Our technology has advanced beyond anything we achieved while bound by alien restrictions. Our people are happier and more confident than they have been in decades. The statistics were impressive. Human industrial output had doubled. Scientific research had accelerated dramatically. Population growth was at healthy levels across all colonies. Most importantly, humans felt free to be themselves for the first time since making contact with aliens. We have learned that we were never as dependent on them as we thought, President So Young continued, but they were far more dependent on us than anyone realized. The proof was everywhere. Alien civilizations were struggling without human support. The Crystalline Confederacy's mining operations were failing. The Aquarian underwater cities were running out of power. The ethereal meditation worlds could not maintain their atmospheric balance. Even the mighty Altanian Empire was facing economic problems. But the most serious issue was security. Pirate attacks had increased by 500% since human patrols withdrew. The aliens could not understand why their massive fleets were less effective than small human patrol groups. Admiral Taemin of the Altanian Defense Force faced this problem every day. His fleet was the largest in the galaxy, with advanced weapons and sophisticated sensors. Yet pirates continued to slip through his defenses and attack civilian shipping. How can a few criminals defeat our entire fleet? He demanded during a strategy meeting. His tactical officer tried to explain. Sir, our methods are based on established military doctrine. We use formation attacks, coordinated movements, and systematic patrol patterns. The pirates have studied these methods for centuries. They know how to avoid us, and the humans? Human tactics were unpredictable. They would appear anywhere at any time using strategies that seemed random. Pirates could not predict their movements or prepare countermeasures. The truth was that human military thinking was fundamentally different from alien approaches. Where aliens saw chaos, humans saw flexibility. Where aliens demanded order, humans embraced adaptation. This made human forces far more effective against unconventional threats like pirates. The economic problems were getting worse too. The Galactic Trade Commission reported that commerce between star systems had dropped by 30%. The reason was simple. Humans had provided essential services that kept trade flowing smoothly. Human shipping companies had connected remote systems that alien corporations found unprofitable. Human banks had provided financial services to small colonies that major alien institutions ignored. Human technicians had maintained equipment that alien specialists considered beneath their notice. Without these services, the galactic economy was slowly breaking down. What had seemed like minor conveniences were revealed to be critical infrastructure. The social problems were just as serious. For decades, human entertainment had become popular across the galaxy. Human music, movies, games, and stories appealed to alien audiences in ways their own cultures could not explain. The sudden absence of human creativity left a void that alien artists could not fill. More importantly, human diplomatic services had been quietly preventing conflicts between alien species. Human mediators had resolved trade disputes, territorial disagreements, and cultural misunderstandings before they became wars. Without neutral human arbitrators, old tensions between alien civilizations began to resurface. The Zephyrians and the Hive worlds started arguing over mineral rights in the Vega sector. The Aquarians and the Ethereals had a diplomatic crisis over water shipping contracts. Even allied species within the Altanian Empire began questioning their loyalty as economic problems created political stress. Dr. Wu Jin, working in a secret research facility on Mars, was documenting humanity's rapid technological progress, free from alien restrictions and forced to be completely self-reliant. Human innovation had exploded beyond all expectations. The quantum drive systems are operational, he reported to President So Young. Our new ships can travel twice as fast as anything in the alien fleet. The energy weapons are ready for testing, and the shield technology is completely beyond alien understanding. How is this possible? She asked. We had access to alien science for decades but never achieved breakthroughs like this. We were always trying to copy alien methods, Dr. Wu Jin explained. Their technology is advanced but rigid. When we stopped trying to imitate them and started developing our own approaches, we discovered that human thinking leads to different solutions, often better solutions. This was the galaxy's greatest mistake. They had assumed that older meant wiser, that established meant superior. They had forced humanity to follow alien technological paths instead of exploring human ones. When those restrictions were removed, human science advanced at a pace that shocked even the researchers themselves. The aliens were beginning to understand their error. They had not been graciously educating a primitive species. They had been suppressing a civilization whose potential they could not comprehend, but pride prevented them from admitting the truth. Instead of apologizing and asking humanity to return as equals, they continued to treat the situation as a temporary problem that could be solved with the right incentives. The emergency alarms screamed across every alien world in the Vega sector. Deep space monitoring stations picked up signals that had not been seen for 300 years. The void wraiths had returned. Admiral Taman stood on the bridge of his flagship staring at sensor readings that made his blood freeze. The creatures emerging from dark space were nightmares made real, beings of pure energy and malice that fed on life itself. How many ships? He asked his tactical officer. Unknown, sir. Our sensors cannot get accurate readings. The energy signatures are interfering with our equipment. The void wraiths were the galaxy's oldest enemy. They lived in the empty space between galaxies, sleeping for centuries before waking to hunt. When they last appeared, they had destroyed entire star systems before the combined alien fleets could stop them. But that was when humanity had been part of the Galactic Defense Forces. The first attack hit the Zephyrian crystal worlds. The crystalline beings were master strategists who had never lost a battle in their 10,000-year history. Their perfect geometric formations and precisely calculated movements were the envy of military academies across the galaxy. Against the void wraiths, their perfection was useless. The creatures attacked in patterns that defied understanding. They phased in and out of normal space, appeared behind enemy lines, and struck from impossible angles. The Zephyrians' beautiful formations collapsed as their ships were torn apart by enemies that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Queen Zix of the Hive worlds fared no better. Her insectoid warriors fought with perfect coordination, each drone linked to the collective mind that had conquered 100 worlds. But the void wraiths were immune to conventional tactics. They moved through solid matter, ignored energy shields, and fed on the life force of entire crews. System after system fell. Billions of aliens died as their most advanced defenses proved worthless against an enemy that operated outside the rules of normal warfare. The Galactic Council held an emergency session. For the first time in decades, the Great Hall was filled with fear instead of arrogance. Species that had dominated space for millennia found themselves helpless against creatures they could barely understand. "We need the humans," declared Governor Thelvar of the Aquarian Federation. His underwater cities were directly in the path of the advancing wraiths. "Impossible," replied Veltar of the Altanian Empire. They made their choice. They abandoned us when we needed them most. They abandoned us? Thelvar's gills flared with anger. We threw them out. We told them they were not worthy to be our equals. And now you want to crawl back to them? Queen Zix clicked her mandibles in disgust. The Hive remembers when humans were barely able to leave their own planet. We will not beg children for help. But the military leaders knew the truth. Admiral Taemin had studied every battle humanity had ever fought against the Void Wraiths. Human tactics were the only ones that had ever worked against these creatures. With respect, Your Majesties, he said, human forces were responsible for 70% of confirmed Wraith kills in the last invasion. Their unconventional strategies were the key to our victory. Explain, Veltar demanded. Taemin activated the tactical display. Every species in the galaxy fights according to established doctrine. We use formations, follow proven strategies, and employ weapons designed by our greatest military minds. The Void Wraiths have faced such tactics for millions of years. They know how to counter them. The display showed human patrol patterns from the old days. Where alien fleets moved in perfect lines and geometric shapes, human ships seemed to dance through space in chaotic spirals and impossible curves. Human military thinking is different, Taemin continued. They embrace randomness, adapt constantly, and use strategies that seem insane to ordered minds. Against an enemy that exists partially outside normal spacetime, insanity was our greatest weapon. The council chamber fell silent. The proud alien civilizations were being forced to confront an uncomfortable truth. They needed the species they had tried to destroy. Send a message to human space, Veltar finally ordered. Offer them full partnership in the galactic defense effort. Sir, his aide whispered. That would mean admitting we were wrong about their status. Do it anyway. The message was transmitted to Earth within hours. The response came from Admiral Subin of the Terran Deep Space Command, and it was not what the aliens expected. The Terran Federation acknowledges the galaxy's current crisis, the message read. We sympathize with all civilian populations facing this threat. However, as established 3 years ago, humanity is not a member of galactic society, and therefore has no obligations to participate in galactic defense. We wish you success in your endeavors. The council exploded in shocked roars, clicks, and hisses. The humans were refusing to help even when the entire galaxy was at stake. This is madness, Queen Zix screeched. Do they not understand that the Wraiths will eventually reach human space as well? But Admiral Taemin understood exactly what the humans were doing. They were treating the galaxy the same way the galaxy had treated them, as strangers with no mutual obligations. More systems fell. The ethereal meditation worlds were consumed by creatures that fed on spiritual energy. The crystalline Confederacy's mining stations went silent one by one. Even the mighty Altanian battle, fleets were being pushed back toward their home system. It was then that the most devastating revelation came from Earth. Dr. Wu Jin released a scientific analysis that changed everything. The galaxy thought they knew about the crisis. Human. Deep space research indicates that Void Wraith emergence patterns are directly linked to quantum barrier degradation in the affected regions, his report stated. Analysis of historical data suggests that these barriers were previously maintained by specific types of faster-than-light drive signatures. The implications hit the alien leaders like a physical blow. For decades, human patrol ships had been crisscrossing the galaxy on their security missions. Their unique quantum drive systems had been unconsciously maintaining barriers that kept the Void Wraiths in dark space. When the humans withdrew their patrols, the barriers had slowly weakened over 2 years until they finally collapsed. The galaxy had not just lost their protectors. Their dismissal of humanity had directly caused the crisis that was destroying them. So this is our fault? Governor Thelvar asked in horror. Indirectly, yes, Dr. Wu Jin's report continued. However, we wish to emphasize that this was unintentional on all sides. No species could have predicted this outcome based on available information at the time. Even while revealing the galaxy's responsibility for their own destruction, the humans remained polite and professional. They offered no accusations, no blame, no anger. Just scientific facts delivered with clinical precision. The lack of emotion in the report made it even more devastating. Admiral Taemin realized that humanity had become something unprecedented in galactic history, a species that was completely independent. They did not need alien approval, alien technology, or alien protection. They could survive and thrive entirely on their own. This independence gave them something no other species possessed: the luxury of choice. They could help the galaxy or not, entirely based on their own decisions rather than necessity. As another system fell to the Wraiths, the Galactic Council finally swallowed their pride. They sent their most senior diplomat, Council Prime Velnara, to formally request humanity's aid. Her message was simple and direct. We were wrong. Please help us. The response from Earth came from President So Young herself. Humanity will consider the galaxy's request. We will send our terms. For the first time in 3 years, there was hope in the Alien Council chambers. But that hope was mixed with fear. What would humanity demand in return for saving a galaxy that had tried to destroy them? The answer would reshape galactic civilization forever. The human fleet appeared at the edge of the Vega system like ghosts materializing from empty space. Admiral Chan Wu's flagship, the Resolution, was unlike any vessel the aliens had ever seen. Where their ships were built for power and intimidation, human vessels seemed to flow through space with organic grace. Magnificent, whispered Admiral Taman as he studied the human fleet through his sensors. 3 years of isolation had transformed human technology beyond recognition. Their ships moved faster, turned sharper, and radiated energy signatures that his equipment could barely detect. The human terms arrived as a formal document transmitted to every member of the Galactic Council. Admiral Chan Wu's voice carried clearly across all communication channels as he read the conditions for humanity's return. The Terran Federation will consider participating in galactic defense under the following conditions, he began. First, immediate recognition of humanity as a sovereign equal in all galactic affairs, with full voting rights in the Council. The alien leaders exchanged nervous glances. This was exactly what they had refused to grant 3 years ago. Second, cessation of all territorial claims against human space, including formal recognition of human sovereignty over all systems currently under Terran administration. This meant giving up the rich outer spiral worlds that had started the whole conflict. Third, full reparations for 3 years of economic warfare against human civilization, to be paid over a reasonable time frame. The aliens had tried to bankrupt humanity with their embargo. Now humanity wanted compensation for the damage they had caused. Fourth, restructuring of the Galactic Council to include human representation in all major decisions affecting galactic security and trade. This would give humanity veto power over the policies that governed galactic civilization. Finally, establishment of mutual defense treaties formally recognizing humanity's role as primary coordinator of galactic security operations. The last condition was the most shocking. Humanity was demanding official recognition as the galaxy's protectors, the role they had already been performing without acknowledgement. Veltar of the Altanian Empire struggled to control his anger. These terms are outrageous. You demand everything we refused to give you before. Indeed, Admiral Chan Wu replied calmly. 3 years ago, humanity requested equal partnership in galactic affairs. You refused and attempted to reduce us to servant status. We declined and withdrew from galactic society. Now circumstances have changed. What if we refuse? Queen Zix clicked her mandibles threateningly. Admiral Chan Wu's response was delivered with quiet certainty that chilled every alien leader. Then you will face the Void Wraiths alone. When they finish with you, humanity will rebuild galactic civilization with whoever survives. The choice is yours. The vote was unanimous. The terms were accepted. Within hours, human fleets were moving toward the Wraith incursion zones. Captain Jiwan led the first battle, group into combat against creatures that had terrorized the galaxy for millions of years. The aliens watched in amazement as human tactics, developed in secret during their isolation, made the impossible look routine. Where alien formations had been shattered by Wraith attacks, human ships moved in patterns so chaotic they seemed to break the laws of physics. Human vessels didn't fight the Wraiths, they danced with them. They appeared where they shouldn't be, attacked from impossible angles and used weapons that operated on principles no alien scientist understood. The Wraiths, creatures that existed partially outside normal space-time, found themselves facing an enemy that seemed equally unbound by conventional rules. The new quantum disruptor weapons tore through Wraith defenses like they were made of paper. Human fighters moved in formation patterns that looked like abstract art, but somehow anticipated every enemy move. Most importantly, human commanders made decisions so quickly and unpredictably that even creatures with multi-dimensional perception could not counter them. The Battle of Kepler 442 became legendary within hours. A single human battle group destroyed a wraith swarm that had annihilated 3 alien fleets. Captain Minjae, commanding the cruiser Defiant, used a maneuver that involved spinning his ship through 7 dimensions while firing in 12 directions at once. How is this possible? Admiral Taman demanded as he watched the battle recordings. Human spatial reasoning is different from ours, his science officer explained. Where we see 3 dimensions, they perceive possibilities. Where we calculate probabilities, they imagine outcomes. It's as if they think in quantum states rather than fixed positions. Within 6 months, the Void Wraith threat was eliminated. The creatures that had plagued the galaxy for eons were driven back into dark space by tactics they could not comprehend or counter. But the real change came when the new Galactic Council convened for the first time. President So Young stood before the assembly that had once tried to destroy her civilization. The aliens who had dismissed humanity as unworthy children now hung on her every word. 3 years ago, you made it clear that humanity was not welcome as your equals, she began. You taught us that we could not rely on anyone but ourselves. You forced us to become truly independent. For that education, we thank you, she paused, looking out at faces that had once regarded humans with contempt and now watched with nervous respect. You will find that the humanity returning to galactic society is not the same species that left your negotiating table. We are stronger, more advanced, and far more self-reliant. But we are also willing to be your partners as equals, never again as subordinates. The economic reports released after the session shocked the galaxy. During their isolation, humanity had not just survived without galactic trade. They had thrived beyond anything previously thought possible. Trade Director Unjung presented figures that redefined what the aliens thought they knew about economics. Human industrial output increased by 300% during our isolation period, she announced. Scientific advancement accelerated by factors we are still calculating. Most significantly, our gross domestic product, across all human worlds, now exceeds that of any 3 alien civilizations. Combined, the Altanians had thought they were cutting off humanity's lifeline when they imposed their embargo. Instead, they had freed humanity from dependence on alien systems that had been holding them back. But the most profound change was psychological. The humans who returned to galactic society were not the eager, somewhat desperate species that had left 3 years before. These humans carried themselves with quiet confidence born of proven independence. Ambassador Kyung-ho, the same man who had walked out of the council chamber, now returned as humanity's senior representative. But he was no longer pleading for acceptance or trying to prove human worthiness. The galaxy spent decades treating humanity as students who needed guidance. He told the assembled delegates, "You have learned that we were actually the teachers you never recognized. We kept the peace, maintained the infrastructure, and solved the problems that kept your civilizations functioning. We provided these services freely because we believed in galactic cooperation. When you decided you no longer wanted our partnership, we respected that decision and withdrew. Now you have experienced life without the services you took for granted." The statistics were undeniable. During humanity's absence, galactic trade had declined by 40%. Pirate attacks had increased by 600%. Interspecies conflicts had tripled. Economic growth had stagnated across most alien worlds. Meanwhile, humanity had entered a golden age of expansion and innovation. Moving forward, President So Young announced, humanity will participate in galactic affairs as senior partners, not junior members. We will provide the services the galaxy requires, but on terms that recognize the true value of those services. The new arrangements were revolutionary. Human patrol fleets would maintain galactic security, but under human command using human strategies. Human technology would be shared with alien civilizations, but with proper compensation and recognition. Human diplomats would mediate interspecies conflicts, but with authority to enforce their decisions. Most importantly, humanity would have veto power over any galactic policy that affected their interests. Never again would they be subject to the whims of species that depended on human capabilities while denying human equality. The galaxy had learned its lesson the hard way. They had tried to force humanity into a subordinate role and discovered that humanity was too essential to suppress. The species they had dismissed as young and naive had proven to be the foundation upon which galactic civilization rested. As the new council session concluded, Admiral Chanwu transmitted a final message to all alien fleets. Human forces will resume galactic security operations immediately. All vessels requiring assistance should contact the nearest human patrol coordinator. We are here to serve, as equals, as partners, and as the guardians we have always been. The galaxy finally understood their error. They had not been graciously tolerating a junior species. They had been entirely dependent on a civilization that had been holding back its true potential. Out of a desire to be good neighbors, humanity had left the negotiating table as supplicants begging for acceptance. They had returned as the indispensable guardians of galactic peace, holding the future of civilization in their hands.